let's start looking at the circus and the zoo basically around what happened yesterday. And that starts, of course, with wannabe vice presidential candidate for Donald Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene, coming in to New York for no reason to protest the arrest. Now, remember, before I show this, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a congresswoman from Georgia. She has promoted QAnon conspiracy theories. She believes and has stated publicly that I believe it was the Rockefellers or something like that, but that there are, I forget the which family. Oh man, I got it now. I'm gonna have to look it up. But she claimed that there were Jewish space lasers. She is a lunatic in Congress. And she is promoting herself in New York, where she claims, and people, this is also, this is a frustrating part, but Marjorie Taylor Greene, Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, all of these Republicans, Tucker Carlson, I'm sure, I know for a fact, but I don't know if Tucker Carlson lives in New York, but regardless, all of these people try to crap on cities. They try to crap on New York specifically. We'll talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene's hate for Eric Adams in a second. They crap on the cities. They say it's so high crime, so high crime. While crime has historically been going down for the last 30 years, New York leading in many of that, in those. Now, of course, since the pandemic, there has been an uptick, but on the whole, it is still going down, and it actually has been going down over the last the last year or so. But Republican cities, like I believe in Oklahoma and a couple other ones, I don't have the statistics right in front of me, but you can Google it, per capita have a much higher crime rate than New York City. But for someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene to leave Georgia, to leave Washington, D.C., to come to New York, where she is not welcome, as you're about to see, to protest, is, again, her putting herself out there saying, MAGA, I am your vice presidential candidate, and I want to be Trump's VP candidate, because probably not going to win, if we have anything to say about it, but that's that. And here you have Marjorie Taylor Greene being escorted by the police, which the same police that work with Eric Adams, of course, the New York Police Department and Secret Service, I believe, as well, or some sort of security with her. So there she is. Go back to Georgia, as someone said. There's a lot of media, there's a lot of people recording. There's not a lot of protesters with her. It's just a lot of media, it seems. And that's about it. So I think I have another clip, I believe, of her, but I don't want to listen to her crap like speech. Here we have, though, an exchange between, well, to call it an exchange would be probably an exaggeration, but so Marjorie Taylor Greene gets a megaphone. She's saying all this stupid stuff and saying, oh, this is the, erosion of democracy and you guys are blah, 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 right? Whatever. No one gives a crap what she has to say. So then she has to get out, basically, and here we have Congressman Jamal Bowman, who has been featured on this show benching 405 pounds, now in New York, where Jamal Bowman is actually from, pushing back against Marjorie Taylor Greene being here.
Hold accountable, Congressman. Whoa.
So there she goes, getting into a big car. So here's Jamal Bowman.
Now
truth. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Now let's talk about the truth. Get out of here. What inspired that today? Jamal Bowman. What inspired that today?
Sorry for if you're just listening or if you're watching and it's like really sharp, there's all these people here have whistles. So it's not, you're not being crazy. It's not my audio. It is, there are people there just blowing whistles for no reason.
I was born and raised in New York City. This is the city that I love. It's a city focused on hard work and love for all people. We will never accept hateful rhetoric in our city. Any rhetoric that is divisive, any rhetoric that uplifts white supremacy, we are pushing back against that in all its forms. Marjorie Taylor Greene needs to take her ass back to Washington and do something about gun violence, do something about affordable housing, do something about childhood poverty, do something about climate change. Do your freaking job, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
There you have it. That's about as succinct as you can be with that. And, you know, some people will be upset. Oh, the mannerisms, he's, you know, yelling or whatever. Give me a break. This is what a bold progressive looks like. And this is what somebody that is standing up for our rights actually looks like in Congress. So then once Marjorie Taylor Greene is in that motorcade, basically, as you saw there, she goes on Steve Bannon's podcast, The War Room, to discuss what happened. And of course, guys, remember, and I'll dive more into it in a second, but Eric Adams is a Democrat and he's the mayor in New York. But by no stretch of the imagination is Eric Adams a progressive Democrat. So when people want to get upset, this is where we'll talk about some of this stuff more broadly with Trump and being above the law, but nobody's above the law. Nobody is special in this case, and we should have no qualms to say, you know what? Yeah, Eric Adams, I disagree with some of the stuff he does. Or Joe Biden, I disagree with some of the stuff he does, because that's like being genuine, that's being transparent, that's being straightforward with what you actually believe. But the attacks from the right wing against Eric Adams is making him seem like it's Vladimir Lenin coming to like lead a second revolution, which is like, oy. But here we go. As Marjorie Taylor Greene in the back of this car hops right on to talk to good old Steve Bannon.
Eric Adams specifically singled you out.
Eric Adams singled Marjorie Taylor Greene out because she is a white supremacist coming from Georgia to New York to support Donald Trump.
As a hooligan that's going to cause a
Well, she is a hooligan.
problem, and that you're dangerous and that you got to back off and go home.
She's dangerous because she supported the January 6th insurrection.
Your thoughts, ma'am?
He didn't just single me out, Steve. He threatened me.
No, he didn't.
He called me by name and threatened me.
No, he didn't.
The mayor of New York City, I believe, is a thug. And he sent his
Dog whistle.
people here today. They had an organized text alert that went out calling what I would say Antifa.
I highly doubt that the mayor sent out an organized tweet. And if he did, which again, I don't have any evidence. They don't provide any evidence. I haven't seen anything to the contrary, but if there were some, I'm sure that there would have been proof of it. But calling Antifa, or as Trump has called it recently, Antifa, to come and protest and to shut down Marjorie Taylor Greene, which again, she looks very, very happy. That is not the case. That didn't happen. They make stuff up. They're playing the perpetual victim, and as I'm going to talk about a little bit more here in a second, they hate America.
To bring their whistles, pots and pans, all kinds of
The Republican, this is actually something I learned today on the drive home. There were Trump supporters that brought the whistles. They were trying to drown out the sound of counter protesters.
instruments to make.
But it just so happened that they also gave them to, like, people, I guess, protesting, like, from the left or the center or from any other person other than the MAGA crew.
All kinds of noise to drown me out and drown others
You had a megaphone
here today that are protesting and here supporting President Trump. The mayor.
And let's also note, I'm sorry I keep pausing it. You drowning somebody else's voice out is your constitutionally protected First Amendment speech. You bringing a megaphone to a protest, if it's in the open space, that is also your right to speak. So for every action that you take in using the First Amendment and wielding the Constitution to say, I have every right to be here and to speak, everybody else has the same right to drown you out. Everybody else has the same right. And just because people don't want to hear you, that's too bad. They don't have to hear you. No one has to listen to you. So this is, again, the perpetual victimhood of the far right.
Of New York City, Mayor Adams owes me an apology.
He absolutely does not.
An elected member of Congress. I represent.
Who cares?
Hundreds of thousands of people from Northwest Georgia, but I also represent Americans all over the country that support Make America Great Again and support President Trump.
So that last part that's where I'll, kind of connect these two ideas. I'll talk about how, okay, she is drawing hate and ire towards Eric Adams. Eric Adams is constantly, if you ever drive into New York or into northern New Jersey, put on AM radio and listen to the right-wing nut jobs that talk about Eric Adams like he is Mao Zedong, like he hates police, like he wants crime to be running amok, like he supports the Joker himself. Eric Adams is a former cop. He doesn't support defunding the police. I don't even know if he supports real reforming of the police. He works with the police as a former cop, and he is doing his job, whether we like it or not, whether we disagree with him or not. I'm sure that there's plenty that I disagree with him on. But the constant hate of major cities in this country. And Jamal Bowman's right. One of the major things that plagues major cities in this country is gun violence. And people like Marjorie Taylor Greene don't want to do anything about it. Jamal Bowman, who represents New York City, part of it, wants to take action on gun violence. There's a major difference, right? But these folks attack and attack and attack, say that the justice system is a political game. They talk about all of these injustices towards the right wing, and we just want to take our country back, and we have an open border, and the economy is going down the drain, and all, which not one piece of what I just said from them is true. Not a thing is true. And this is why I don't like to say it this way rhetorically, but they hate America. They are not patriots whatsoever. They are nationalists, and they will wrap themselves in the flag and weaponize it against any sort of minority or any sort of marginalized group that they can to gain and wield more power. They have historically been the ones that have benefited from it. They're talking about nobody's above the law. Nobody is above the law for years and years and years and years. While Fred Hampton's getting assassinated in his bed. Martin Luther King is being told to commit suicide by the FBI. By both of these things being done by the FBI, the same FBI that, as I'll talk about here in a second, Trump wants to defund. The assassination of Malcolm X. These are all, okay, those all happened in the 1960s. You can look at the weaponization against plenty of other people that would not be right-wing darlings. Maybe some of them would be today, like Edward Snowden or Chelsea Manning wouldn't be, and none of these people, right? But no, of course, we can't talk about those. We're just gonna say if you want to arrest Trump, you have to arrest Bill Clinton. Okay, if he committed a crime, charge him with it, bring it to trial. See, that is what the American system of law is supposed to be. It's supposed to be able to hold people to account. If you commit a crime, now, if the law is unjust, if there's any sort of, there's plenty of lines that we can go down. And that's not to say that either that people can't be reformed or people can't change. People need to be locked away for 10, 20, 50 years. That's not the case. But these people don't believe in reformative justice. So it's layers and layers and layers. Hypocrisy is not even the right word for it. They don't believe in the systems of government. They don't believe in the system of the judicial system. Not to say, oh, the Supreme Court is busted, we should reform it. They say, this whole thing is wrong because my guy's going down. They don't say my democracy is going down the drain because not everyone's voting. They say, I don't want everyone to vote. That's the difference. They don't want universal rights. They don't want everyone to have the same, if you want to call it, privileges. They want to call you an entitled, whatever, whatever, insert noun there. Because they got theirs and they want to hold on to theirs. Because that to them, that's what makes America great. But to me and to you as progressives, what makes America great is the opportunity and the chance to make a better life for ourselves, for our family, for our kids, for the future, to have a sustainable and habitable, planet. But they don't care. They'd rather sell themselves out to make more money. So last thing here, I think on this. Yeah, let's do this. Last thing on here is, oh, now I lost it. 1 second. We have, just keep scrolling past things. All right, last two things. Here we have Lindsey Graham, senator, by the way, on Fox News with Sean Hannity. Let me pull this up. Talking about the, as you will see, quote, political persecution of Trump. And Lindsey Graham is going to try to do something. He's going to help raise money for Trump.
Application of our laws is dead.
It may be, but we got one last chance here to straighten this out. I just told you a Democratic president lies under oath regarding sexual matters.
He was impeached, by the way.
They're not prosecuted.
No, he was impeached. There's a difference. There's no precedent to prosecute a sitting president.
Democratic Secretary of State running for president destroys 33,000 emails under subpoena. They're not.
She was investigated and there was nothing found on those things. And he's talking about Hillary Clinton, of course. And again, I'm not a fan of Hillary Clinton's more broadly. Like I'm not anti-Hillary Clinton, but I'm not holding her up to be a hero. If she committed crimes, okay, hold her to account. She testified for hours and hours and hours about Benghazi, and there was nothing. These folks want to make stuff up, and then they get mad when their guy gets caught doing something for real. And then this case, of course, remember, as we've move past this in a second, this is one of the cases. This is not even the most serious case.
Not prosecuted. This is selective prosecution. It's legal garbage in New York. It's politically motivated. And we do have one last chance to not become a banana republic. 2024 is the most important election in my lifetime. America literally...
People say that every single election.
...is at stake as we know it, is at stake as we know it. I'm sorry I'm so upset, but please help President Trump. If you can afford $5 or $10, if you can't afford $1, fine, just pray. Make sure you vote as early as you...
Just pray. That's good. You can just pray. If you're watching this and you're a Trump supporter, just pray. You don't need to give this guy money. Even if you're the biggest Trump fan, you don't need to give this guy money.
you can in your state. Don't risk anything anymore. Vote as soon as you can.
Because voting is good now for them, and voting early is good for them now. And, you know, as Trump said last week, let's do ballot harvesting, which, again, they said is illegal, but let's do it. I mean, these guys are full of crap.
Pray for this country. Pray for this president. And if you got any money to give, give it. LindseyGraham.com. It doesn't go to me. It goes to helping this president and taking back.
You got to go to Lindsey Graham, his website, to help Donald Trump. Yeah, because that makes total sense. Now, of course, he's going to split it. He's going to split money between him and these Senate seats in 2024. And, you know, come on, Lindsey, you can come and spend money in Pennsylvania. We'll kick your butt again, too. Bob Casey, you know, will beat any of the Republicans that they put up. I'll just put that in. I'll put that flag down now. So just last thing on this is Trump this morning truthing out. Republicans in Congress should defund the DOJ, which is the Department of Justice, and the FBI until they come to their senses. This is all, for those listening, this is in all caps. The Democrats have totally weaponized law enforcement, which is not the case, by the way. Law enforcement is not. It's overwhelmingly Republican, by the way. I'll just leave it at that. All right, I'll restart the sentence. The Democrats have totally weaponized law enforcement in our country and are viciously using this abuse of power to interfere with our already under siege elections. Nonsense. Total nonsense from the failed former President Donald John Trump.